Good morning. My name is Thomas Poon, and I am the Executive Vice President and Provost for Loyola Marymount. Good evening. And wow, I am still in awe of that performance. Let's give another round of applause to our musician. That's John Beatty on the djembe drum. Johnny Mori on the taiko drum. Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome to Sacred Heart Chapel. And what a pleasure it is to have joining us today our Congresswoman from the 43rd District, the Honorable Maxine Waters, and Ambassador Sidney Williams. And in case you didn't hear me, also Ambassador Sidney Williams. It is my distinct privilege to present Dr. Timothy Law Snyder, President of Loyola Marymount University. President Snyder has been a dedicated professor and administrator at Jesuit universities for over 30 years. And many of us know that among President Snyder's professional, intellectual, and creative pursuits, he is also an active musician. And we, the LMU community, have been the beneficiaries of this musical talent over the past 3 years, as the music from each of LMU's Christmas and New Year's greetings has been composed and performed by Tim himself. And every once in a while, he may even break out in a spontaneous song, as we saw at last year's Women in Entertainment event. You should Google it, it's really cool. So this past summer, another one of Tim's talents was pointed out to me, and that is his talent for teaching. You see, during my travels in August, I ran into Tim's former provost. It's always cool to run into your boss's former boss. And without any prompting, he shared how Tim structured his class that he taught, titled Concept of Mathematics. Now, in this course, Tim taught non-math majors how to develop quantitative and visual reasoning skills through applied topics relevant to their majors and intended careers. And now for the reveal of the former institution. Tim's former provost explained how Tim presented the fundamentals of mathematics by helping music majors to see the relevance of math in their instruments, in their music theory and composition, in their recording hardware and software, and of course, in the financial aspects of their future careers as professional musicians. And it was at that moment that I reflected upon how Tim has taught us what it means for LMU to become the definitive center for global imagination and its impacts. And that was a concept that he prefaced in his 2015 inauguration address. Since then, he has adeptly peeled back the layers of his vision for LMU through a series of classes, otherwise known as the President's Convocation. In his 2016 Convocation, he taught us the importance of expanding our diversity in all dimensions and provided a roadmap for how to do so through inclusion, culture, and community. In 2017, he taught us why the world needs imagination, why imagination needs a center, and how LMU can be that center through creative, global, and interdisciplinary pursuits. And now, in 2018, he is going to talk about today and two tomorrows. And I'm really eager to learn how that ties in with the other classes in this series. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the 16th president of Loyola Marymount University, President and Professor Timothy Law Snyder.
Thank you, Executive Vice President and fabulous Provost Poon. We welcome today our esteemed Congresswoman of the 43rd District, the Honorable Maxine Waters, and Ambassador Sidney Williams. We welcome members of the Board of Trustees, including Reverend Scott Coble, Society of Jesus, the Reverend Alan Deck, Society of Jesus, Karen Dial, Joseph Knott, and they're here with us, led by Chair Paul Viviano. We welcome members of our Board of Regents, led by our Chair Maria Salinas. We welcome our Chancellor, the Reverend Robert Walsh, Society of Jesus, our Chancellor Emeritus, Father Cahalan. We welcome LMU faculty, staff, and students, Sisters of St. Joseph of Orange, Religious of the Sacred Heart of Mary, Jesuits, interfaith clergy, alumni, and friends, and of course, John Beatty, Johnny Mori, and Chris De Silva, who brought us our music. We honor them. We thank each of them for being with us today and for that fine performance. Welcome to each of you this morning. And for those of you streaming, I hope I make your monthly fee worth it. I welcome our newest members of the LMU community, our students, faculty, and staff, and I wish to celebrate our new leaders. So I'm going to ask each of you to stand up and remain standing one by one. There are so many, we will applaud at the end. We welcome Roberta Espinoza, our Vice Provost for Global Local Initiatives. We welcome Terry Mangione, Dean of Students. We welcome Craig Pintons, Athletics Director, Peggy Reisky, Dean of SFTV. You can rise, it's okay. Dale Smith, Dean of CBA, Kat Weaver, Associate Provost for Research and Professional Development. And I also welcome to their new positions, Jose Badenas, Associate Provost for Undergraduate Education, Catherine Brown, Staff Senate President, Marnie Campbell, Faculty Senate President, Marianne Carlton, Associate Dean for Finance and Administration at Loyola Law School, Mary McCullough, Interim Dean for the School of Education, Alo Coleman, ASLMU President, and Nicole Mann, GSLMU President. I thank each of you for helping us strengthen our ever-growing family of Lions. How about a round of applause for our new persons and persons in new positions? My goal in each convocation is to explore where issues of our time rub shoulders with our shared work at LMU, to articulate and expand a vision of how we can engage the world with purpose. And we've indeed talked about diversity as the font of human creativity, why collaborating in acts of imagination should be at the heart of what a university does, and how that can happen and should happen here. Today, I invite you to join me in contemplating our present and our future, to globally imagine two distinct pathways that the future could take, and how we at LMU can help make the difference between them. But before we get there, let's celebrate further. We're pretty good at that. In yesterday's LMU this week, I shared a wide range of our recent achievements. Today, I highlight a few. Our primary commitment to academic excellence this year won long overdue recognition for our achievements in teaching and scholarship in the liberal arts and sciences. At the end of July, the Phi Beta Kappa Society granted LMU a new chapter. This hard-earned distinction from the nation's most prestigious academic honor society extols and affirms LMU's rigorous standards of achievement. The 3-year application process started when the late Ray Linda Brown, our beloved former Associate Provost for Undergraduate Education, laid the groundwork in helping us believe that we could be Phi Beta Kappa. Other leaders shepherded the application process to fruition. We thank Provost Tom Poon. We thank Vice Provost David Sapp. We thank Associate Professor of History and Committee Chair Nick Rosenthal. We thank our deans, Bryant Alexander, Chris Brancalini, Tina Cho, and Robin Crabtree, and myriad faculty, staff, and students who contributed to this effort could all associate it with this grand success. And all members of Phi Beta Kappa, please stand so we can honor you and thank you. We rejoice at the opening of our new Playa Vista campus, where our School of Film and Television and the graduate programs, that is, and our executive MBA program and more will lead Los Angeles and Silicon Beach in pursuing innovative professional and interdisciplinary education. I thank those who helped establish our new campus. They include our board chair, Paul Viviano, who led the committee that first explored the project. I thank Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer Lynn Scarborough, who guided the entirety of our internal planning process. I thank Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Tom Fleming and Associate VP Patrick Hogan, who led our budget planning through about 400 or 500 spreadsheets. I thank Provost Joe Helligy, Provost Tom Poon. I thank the deans and faculty of the School of Film and Television and leaders across the divisions of academic affairs, facilities management, finance, ITS, marketing and communications, parking and transportation, and more. Playa Vista is, as Dean Reisky has been proclaiming since she arrived, a game changer for LMU, for all who have changed the game. Could you please rise so we can offer our thanks and share the wonder that you have created. Celebration continues. 50 years ago, Loyola University welcomed a new partner, Marymount College, to its campus here on the Bluff. The new partnership required collaboration, hope, and trailblazing conversations between Marymount College then President Raymond McKay and then Loyola President Charles Casasa, who ushered us into our future. We owe gratitude to these leaders, to their boldness and their creativity. Could those who were with us at that time and members of each of our religious orders please rise so we can honor your vision, your care, and your foresight. Speaking of bold and creative, Dr. Abby Robinson Armstrong, our inimitable Vice President for Intercultural Affairs, will retire this spring. Dr. Abby, as the students belovedly call her, your visionary leadership has transformed the way LMU understands and cultivates educational equity. You have inspired us to nurture the discipline of thinking more openly and listening more empathetically. We have been blessed by your leadership, and we are grateful for the legacy you leave us. And this is a legacy, Abby, upon which I promise we will build. Thank you, Vice President Robinson Armstrong. Could you please rise? Abby's work has made a better LMU, and by doing so has helped make a better world. That dynamic is the theme for my talk today. The idea of a better world has been on my mind a lot this year, in part because a key phrase that emerged during our branding initiative was creating the world we want to live in, or as I prefer, creating the world in which we want to live. But the notion of better world also continues to inhabit our thoughts as we look around the world these days. Much of what we see troubles our minds and our spirits. I will pick up today where Reverend Jose Badenes Society of Jesus led us in his homily at the Mass of the Holy Spirit last month. Father Jose warned us, rather than isolating ourselves inside the beauty of our gated community and creating an ivory tower to evade what goes on around us, our Ignatian mission compels us to engage reality, as difficult as it may be sometimes, and act to change it for the better. My topic is thus a tale of two tomorrows. One, a world as we fear ours may become. The other, the world as we know it should be and can be if touched by the students we help form here at LMU. Let's start with today, a moment of heightened turmoil and anxiety, of rapid social upheaval, as has occurred episodically throughout human history. For millions of years, we, humans, have birthed technologies to assist in adaptation to our environment. We learned to fashion tools that could offload physical work to external devices, extensions of hands that helped us hunt and cook, of clothing that helped shelter us from the elements, of shoes and wheels and trailways that helped us move about more rapidly, and eventually extensions of the mind, cave paintings that captured emotions, memories, and dreams. Later, alphabets that help preserve with precision our words, customs, stories, and laws. Today, these tools have brought us wholly new capacities and environments. Our shelters have central heat and air. If only the dorms would have that, Alo. Our explosives reduce mountains to rubble. Our wheels now drive themselves. And automated, self-guided, smart technologies are emerging to offload other tasks, even thinking, to external entities. Because of these technologies, we sometimes possess enhanced freedom from mundane tasks, but we also appropriate new dangers. We've seen deadly byproducts of poor choices, the creation of weapons of mass destruction, devastation of our natural environment, and at a more familiar level, these technologies threaten to distance us from nature and the simple life and reduce our sense of dignity and agency. Nothing in our today has shifted more dramatically than the tools of knowledge. A new world, one of rapid communication and information abundance, has opened astonishing possibilities. We each hold devices that access immediately information that eclipses the contents of every book ever printed. Yet attending these developments, paradoxically, we find diminished confidence even in the idea of truth. We find commercialization of pre-neutral information, increased vulnerability to unseen manipulations, invasiveness of the private and the personal, a ceaseless cacophony of voices that confuses even our most valiant efforts to distinguish what is noise from what is signal. And oddly, I'd say perversely, our exponentiated communications environment now lures us toward an insulation, a gated existence wherein each person can harness the power of algorithms to maintain a personalized partition of one's political, social, and disciplinary boundaries, rather than exploring beyond them in search of a chance encounter, an unsought insight, a serendipitous discovery. So let's talk about that first tomorrow. To what might these conditions lead? The accelerated information proliferation, which will include maps of our individual DNA, maps of our behavioral tendencies, will bring further diminished privacy and autonomy. Free choice could become illusory as information is filtered by those in power, customized to the individual voter or consumer. And we may even volunteer such customization in tomorrow's social media, substituting artificial like-minded, that is, lifelike, positive bots for true friendship. Friendship traded for constant self-assurance via a customized platter of zeros and ones. And as our climate degrades, changes in our natural environment, temperature, coastal erosion, species extinction, will be accompanied by parallel social calamities, devastating famines, global inequality, social violence on an unprecedented scale, and access to health and education limited to a chosen few. And more could be in the mix. We do not know the direction in which our continuing journey to map and model the human mind will take us. See, in the past, we have offloaded our memories into books and libraries. Today, we have offloaded sequential mental processing to computers. So we have to ask, what dimension of our mind and our humanity might we offload next? And what consequences will erupt when this next offload takes place? All this describes our first tomorrow, and that's one whose seeds are the troubling tendencies of today. This is not my usual. This is what we might call not pretty. But most of you know I'm not a technophobe. I believe that today's wondrous changes may yet prove to be among humankind's greatest blessings. But let's be clear. Here's the situation we are in. Our evolved human blueprint is simply not attuned to navigate these creations and their effects. Not without our brain power and our wisdom intervening. We're past a stage where evolution can allow a patient adaptation to this new environment, this one that we have created. We must now vie to pursue a chosen direction rather than default to an unguided drift toward desolation. How should a great university, a Catholic, Jesuit, Marymount University, respond to today and this not pretty first tomorrow in a way that helps us bring about a better tomorrow than the one I just described? Let me speak to 3 keys to a second better tomorrow, and I will follow with a bunch of examples about how this very day we are birthing seeds that will create that better tomorrow. Foremost is our first key, and I'm going to spend a bit of time on this because it's so important to us, the learning experience. I have noted many times that the intersection of ultimate consequence for our work as educators is the exchange of minds that occurs in our classrooms, studios, laboratories, library, living spaces, and online between teacher and student. As a math professor, my greatest moments came in breakthrough experiences where I could see what had been mystifying to students suddenly become demystified. I loved when introducing computational complexity to students to sense their initial befuddlement. You've seen it, the furrowed brows, mouths agape, as they grasp for meaning upon learning, in this case, Stephen Cook's theory of NP completeness. But we broke it down. We used simpler, understandable examples like Rubik's Cubes and traveling salespeople to demonstrate the challenge of NP hardness. The student questions led us to chase down what was in our way, and through them, I learned new ways of teaching the topic, of applying it, even of understanding it. The students' anxieties evolved into discovery, and to my delight, so did mine. Because when we teach, we're building step by step upon known foundations of discipline and technique, modeling what curiosity is and rehearsing techniques until they become second nature. And when this works best, together we and our students create a camaraderie in inquiry, a sort of sandbox in which students can explore new ideas, and yes, in which they can fail again and again on their way to greater mastery. We open avenues that ultimately enable something we have yet to understand, much like Stephen Cook did when he took that NP completeness step that neither mathematics nor computer science had permitted, creating something remarkable, even mind-shattering, all built on a foundation of what was known. Amidst all the worries of our troubled world, our work matters precisely because these consequential moments of learning over time help determine our choice between our two tomorrows. A second key to our second world, the world in which we want to live, will be learners who continually encounter the other. Learners experienced in seeking and finding God and God's attributes, truth, beauty, justice, compassion, in all people, in all things. Our better tomorrow will need learners who approach questions of meaning through purposeful encounter with others. And a third key, an active existence founded in discernment, to recognize our inner senses of consolation and desolation, to give voice to our hearts and souls' yearnings. I've always loved the advice that blues legend B.B. King gave to the ZZ Top guitar player Billy Gibbons. B.B. said, "Learn to play what you want to hear." This advice applies to creators of all types. Write the novel you would like to read. Teach as you hope to be taught. Direct the kind of film you wish to experience. Go ahead and buy yourself some cheap sunglasses, whatever it takes. This capacity for discernment and action equips our students to create the world in which we want to live, provided the spirit of persons for and with others scaffolds our creativity. Higher education has as much to offer as any sector of our society in helping build this second, better tomorrow. And I am convinced that LMU is uniquely positioned to contribute as much to that effort as any university anywhere. And here's why. Our second tomorrow is built on the seeds we are planting this very moment, one in which desolation dissolves into hope. Our second tomorrow, still rife with abundance of information, communication, and automation, will have in its midst a lion who discerns the intrinsic value of persons with whom they work. Our student and intercultural affairs professionals are laying a foundation from which our students can thrive throughout their lives. Students who have participated in LMU Cares, our Courageous Conversations program, our inclusive discourse events, and Dr. Abby's implicit bias initiative will enter their futures prepared to listen and continue to learn with compassion. Our second world will be led by students and alumni who have helped support Mujer, a literacy nonprofit in Guatemala founded by Professor of Political Science Jody Finkel. Through Jody's mentorship, these lions will be versed in promoting women's rights through education. They will perceive the world around them differently and will address analogous opportunities in other lands. In the same way, our teachers in training with Magali Lavadens, Executive Director of our Center for Equity for English Learners, will enter our second tomorrow ready to meet America's critical need for highly qualified bilingual teachers, so children can maintain and be proud of their first language while becoming proficient in English, in Español, to achieve academic success and a bonding of cultures that will bring about the greater good. Students who take Associate Professor Heather Tarleton's Health and Well-Being in Homeless Communities class will gain insight into how health challenges affect not all persons equally. They will become voices that seek better health outcomes for all, including those living on the margins of society. And how do we address tomorrow's rapid communication and information abundance? Our Lions, having practiced contemplative learning as taught by Professors Kathleen McGrath or Paul Humphreys or Paul Slow Time Harris, will possess the introspection and focus needed to crack through the clamor of their surroundings, finding deeper significances than otherwise might be missed. Loyola Law School graduate Hannah Brown will inspire deeper appreciation of the value of human life through Hannah's work for the Loyola Project for the Innocent. Because Hannah had the chance to help secure the freedom of 4 wrongfully convicted clients, she and other law school alumni will underscore the importance of evidence in an age when truth too often seems a blur. Our Lions' hunger for finding and sharing truth in this rapidly changing, even chaotic environment has now resolved into a new journalism major directed by the fabulous Evelyn McDonnell. Though our future journalists may not eliminate alternative facts, their perspicacity, sharpened in the classroom and in the field, will render them responsible and honest purveyors of the news. Wouldn't that be nice? Carol. Students like Alexandra Henry, who last year journeyed to China with Assistant Professor of Art History Melody Rodari, learning the historical and aesthetic importance of artworks produced during the Silk Road period, will forever carry with them a deeper understanding of other times, other places, other people. Majors in our new environmental studies program will grasp the interconnectedness of our natural world and help discover ways to solve the troubles that plague our planet. And all that freedom that will be accelerated from leisure that erupts by virtue of automation, I think of ASLMU Vice President Brenda Quintanilla. Young woman, a dreamer, a doer, who already manages to accomplish more than people who've been with us twice as long. So imagine how Brenda's life might be enriched and how hers would enrich the lives of others with a few more hours of purposeful leisure. Talk about a better world. These are a few examples of how our students and alumni will be prepared to lead the way toward a better world, making wise judgments, distinguishing signal from noise. They and we, through our teaching and example, will model the Ignatian ethos of enculturation, which teaches us to welcome, accept, accommodate, engage, dialogue, and evolve. Now, I know I've walked us down the change the world path, and I'm not the first to do so. And even to consider curing the world is intimidating. But to create the world in which we want to live, we do not have to change every heart nor every mind. Like the leaven in Jesus' parable, a few measures of compassion, of courage, of purpose, a few lions may be just enough. At LMU, we can trust our foundational commitment to the liberal arts tradition while applying its values to an ever-changing professional landscape. We can educate the whole person at a moment when what it means to be a whole person is up for grabs. And we have to lead because no institution I know of in higher education has yet grasped fully and met the challenges we are facing in ways our world needs. We must ask, what can I do to help make the most of this opportunity? I know what I intend to do. I'm going to help raise a lot of money. Father Earps, I want you to note that money was applauded in Sacred Heart Chapel for the first time in our history. In April, our Board of Trustees approved a plan to move forward with a comprehensive fundraising campaign, and we're in what we call the quiet phase of the campaign. And although the details of the campaign are still being determined, through our planning process, which included trustees, regents, dean, and our faculty senate presidents, we clarified our primary needs. And I am going to knock on every door I can to make the case for the impact LMU can have on the larger world. This is what I will say. We need to expand dramatically our endowed support for student financial aid to improve the odds that each admitted student can receive an LMU education without undue financial burden. We owe them that. We seek new endowed faculty chairs and professorships to expand the proportion of valuable tenure-line faculty, especially in areas of interdisciplinary expertise that can help address some of the world's most beguiling problems. We can and should build a creativity-centered campus with LMU value facilities worthy of our growing excellence in imagination-oriented fields, including Dean Alexander's Fine and Performing Arts, Dean Reiske's Film and Television, Dean Cho's Engineering, and all of our digital and immersive learning. We must expand endowed funding for further internationalizing our academic programs, including study abroad, so that our students will become impassioned global citizens with a broad understanding of our complex, interdependent world. And we must reinvigorate our athletics facilities to give our student athletes and our fans a world-class experience and to renew the ferocity of our pride as Lions and the reputation that winning imputes and is going to happen. Here is the conviction that will guide me in every conversation I have with LMU donors and friends. My certainty that what happens day by day in the intellectual encounters between our teachers and our students, and what more can happen, can and will change the world for the better. Will you too share your confidence in the significance of what we do with your students, with your colleagues, and with strangers whom you meet? Amidst today's challenges, we all crave for a better tomorrow. So let us build that hope together in the work we do here each day. Let us renew our commitment to leaven the world with the richness that abounds in the hearts of we lions, to shape together with purpose, with faith, that better tomorrow. The world in which we want to live, with love and with joy. Dr. Bove is here. She would say on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Go Lions! Thank you. Thank you.
In the script, but there's lunch on that side of the chapel. Sculpture garden, in the sculpture garden. Thank you, everyone.